Good evening, friends. On behalf of Sherry and the entire JWAS Foundation Board of Trustees, we welcome you and are so delighted you're joining us tonight for this historic virtual wine tasting event. During the next 75 minutes, you're going to hear from Sherry and our Executive Director, Jeannie Shuck, about the ways our foundation has handled the pandemic with our 16 Jackson scholars and their families through the support and generosity of all of you here tonight. But for now, I want you to sit back and relax. Start tasting the wonderful wines Dakota Shy owner Todd Newman has prepared for all of us. I'll tell you a little story about Todd. Sherry and I met Todd 3 years ago at his winery in Napa Valley. As we pulled into the parking lot and got out of the car, Todd greeted us with a smile, and he said, "You guys are lucky. We just received our permit an hour ago for our new wine tasting room. You're the first to experience it and taste our wines in this new space." And wines we did taste that afternoon. From that moment on, we hit it off. Tonight, Todd will share some wonderful stories behind his amazing wines and how he got started in the winery business. But first, I want to propose a toast to Jackson and the Jackson scholars. So please, join us and raise the glass you are hopefully already holding in your hand. To Jackson, who brought us so much love and kindness into all of our lives. Now his memory lives on through our 16 Jackson scholars. Tonight, you will see the love and the kindness that has been fostered in Jackson's memory. Cheers. Good wine. Now, please join me in welcoming Todd Newman from Napa Valley.
Thank you, Larry and Sherry, so very much for including Dakota Shine, such a tremendous and just a wonderful foundation and what you guys do. It's special, and I'm just honored to be here tonight and share these wines with friends and family and throughout the country. My understanding is we have over 20 states, close to 500 participants tonight, and it's really just an exciting, unique thing to do. And I'm glad that we can share our love and our passion with your friends and family across the country tonight. And so I'm just these are unique times, right? We're doing these virtual tastings and they're new to everybody. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and craft the passion that we do here at the winemaking facility. And we'll hope you'll capture that as you drink the wines in the bottle tonight. And we'll tell you a little bit about our story. So much of what JWAS does, I think what it does mostly is it gives a seed of hope. And I think that everybody that is chasing their American dream needs a seed of hope. And I myself, I'm living an American dream, and it's happening through good people reaching out and giving people opportunity. And I think that's the most important thing. that we talk about this evening. And I think that the wine is a vehicle that brings people together, and it allows us to have those conversations and recognize these moments that are special. And so with that, I'm going to walk through several wines that we have tonight, three to be exact. And the first one is very special to me. It is called the Dakota Shy's McKenna's Sauvignon Blanc. And we are very much a red wine house. We make big boy Cabernet out here in Napa Valley. But not everybody drinks red wine. And when I go and I do dinners, you kind of got to have something to warm it up. Cabernet doesn't pair real well with a field green salad. So we started making about 200 cases of Sauvignon Blanc a few years back, and it just happened to coincide when my niece was born, her name being McKenna. And, you know, not yet having children of my own, she was the first family member to be included in our family in over 30 years. And so I wanted to pay homage to her and really celebrate a lot of things. Just so happens that when McKenna was born, she was born with Down syndrome. And so just walking angels in so many facets. But what we've chosen to do with the Sauvignon Blanc is really kind of follow in Larry and Sherry's footsteps and turn a situation into a positive. And what we've really done is we donate all of the proceeds that come from the Sauvignon Blanc to charities in Kansas City and in Florida that are near and dear to our hearts, that work with children and adults that have autism and Downs. And so this is a wine that is very special to us. We are a Cabernet winemaking house, and we're going to talk more about that as we go. But as far as the tasting goes for this, a lot of white wines, especially from California, there's a big range, you know? And so with us, we make Cabernet grapes, and there are certain grapes that grow next to Cabernet in the white wine world. They are Sauvignon Blanc and Semillon. Chardonnay is not a grape that grows in conditions where Cabernet grows well. And so what we've chosen to do is make the Sauvignon Blanc, and we've chosen to make it in a very clean, crisp way. You don't see a lot of oak influence on these wines, and I think what happens with oak is oak will give that real buttery, creamy texture to wines. And some people like that, but Sauvignon Blanc shouldn't taste like that. And so what you're seeing here is a very clean, crisp, very mineral-driven wine. This is a very neat vineyard site. It's a very old vineyard site that's owned by a family that's been here for generations. And some of the vines are 38 years old. So I'm 39 years old. So basically, I was in diapers when these vines were planted, and I'm making wine from them now. And that to me is special. There's a ton of history, and you think about what happened over those 38 years that coincides with what goes in the bottle. And it's a very special vineyard. We don't make a lot of this wine, and it's just something that really kind of gets us warmed up and gets us pivoting into what we're going to taste next, which is the big time Cabernets that we produce. But very clean, lemon driven. I find this to be zippy, you know, right back under your earlobes here, your parotid glands. And what you're going to see is acid will pop those glands, and it'll create like a saliva wave. It'll just rock back and forth over your palate, and it'll just keep coming. And what'll happen is the acidity in the wine is hitting those glands, and it's making your mouth water. But as it happens, you tend to continue to taste this wine 30, 40, 50 seconds after the initial sip and swallow. And to us, that's a very unique thing. We think that's delicious. This is a wine, this is a boat wine, this is a Sunday afternoon wine. You can do fish salads, porch pounders, however you want to get into it. This is a delicious wine. And so it's one that's near and dear to me. I'll just point out a couple things here. You'll see the lantern right here on the top. A lot of people ask me what that's about. I grew up in a very small farming community in the middle of nowhere, North Dakota, somewhere, I suppose, 50 minutes from the Canadian border, dead smack center. On the Saskatchewan and Manitoba line. Not a lot of people, not a lot of things going on. Certainly not a lot of wine being drunk where I grew up. However, we did know how to tip it back a little bit. In any case, I grew up, my father, I love the American dream, and I love the idea of it, and I especially love that there's hope, because without hope, you can't really seed a dream. And I think what JWAS is doing, which is so tremendous, is they're planting seeds of hope, and then they're stepping in and they're giving you these stepping stones to get to a place where you can chase down a dream. And I'm living proof of that, much like so many of you, I suspect, watching tonight. And that's what we want to capture. We're trying to capture everyone's American dream. And when you pull the cork of Dakota Shy, that's what you're celebrating. You're celebrating your journey, the things you've done, the grind, the ups, the downs, the positives, the negatives, all of those things come together. And I just think that wine is a bottle of joy. And those things are very special to have. Back to the lantern. I grew up, my father drove a propane truck for 42 years and hauled propane to farmers in a 75-mile radius in small middle America, North Dakota. And he was, and I love him so much, but we didn't get along real well from, say, 14 to 22 because he was such, he was a hard ass, you know? I mean, it was work, work, work. And so at 13, what ended up happening was I basically got put on a farm to work for years. And the farm had a bunch of these old lanterns sitting in the mechanic shop and the machine shop. And I always associate that period in my life with the work ethic that gave me the tools that helped build Dakota Shy today. So it's a reminder for me, both where I came from and the things that got me here. I might not have come from money and I might not have been the smartest kid in the room, but I would always be the first one in and always be the last one to leave. And so with that, it's really just a reminder on how you got here. And I think with success, and maybe the word's not success, with good fortune, with blessings, comes responsibility. And you'll look at the back of bottles tonight, especially in the red wines. There's a Latin quote that says, esse quam videre. It's a Latin phrase that translates, I choose to be rather than to seem to be. Who you are is what you are, and don't forget it. And for me, that lantern represents a journey. And I think that's one of the most special things wine can do. It can take you to a place and bring you memory and bring you joy. And in the end, that's the real wealth, and those are the treasures of life. How you live, the way you live, the friends, the family, and those things that come together. And so with that, that is a little bit of the Dakota Shy story, a little bit of the wine itself. I hope you like it. Very lemony, very clean, crisp, bright wine, and one that pairs very well with the summertime. So I think with that, we're going to pass it back to Larry and Sherry and Jeannie and talk a little bit more, and then we will shift gears into the red wines in just a few minutes. Thank you.
All right, Todd, could you share a little bit with us about the Magnum that we're going to have a drawing for right now?
I absolutely can. So we are going to auction off a mag. We don't do a lot of Magnums. These are special bottles, and these are celebratory bottles, things that you can drink with a big group of people, which is what wine should be. I mean, you want to create a moment, you bring a big bottle to the party. So the first bottle we're going to auction off, it's a Magnum of, I believe, the Dakota Shy TEN. Jeannie?
I'm sorry?
So the first Magnum we're bottling off is the Dakota Shy TEN Magnum, correct?
Yep, we're just doing a drawing.
Excellent. So I will let you guys run the old bingo machine and see what lucky number comes.
All right, we have Jackson's baby sister here, Chloe, and she's going to help us draw a name of one of our lucky winners for tonight. And who do we have?
Ronald Bondurant.
Ronald won the first Magnum for the night. Thank you so much, Ronald. And we're going back to Todd.
All right. Well, thank you guys. I want to, there were a couple things with the white wine. I think we sent some recipe pairings out. I have been lucky to build a team of people that I'd love. I mean, I moved out here at 23 years old. I was a farm kid from North Dakota. I ended up in Oregon for a couple years, and I thought I would open up restaurants back in the Midwest. Yeah. You know, I moved to the West Coast, and these people would call mayonnaise. They'd call it this weird word with like 4 vowels in it. Aioli. What the hell is aioli? I mean, it looks like mayonnaise, but apparently this is the fancy stuff. And if you threw a peppercorn in aioli, you could charge $3 more for a fried chicken sandwich. I thought, geez, this is a pretty good gig. If I go back to the Midwest and do gourmet tater tots, fried chicken sandwiches with peppercorn aioli, we used to just call it mayonnaise on a toasted bun, we could get, maybe we could open some restaurants. And so I came up through the restaurants. I was a restaurant kid who put myself into school that way and kind of navigated the waters in the restaurant world. And that's what brought me to Napa Valley. And one of my dear friends, a gentleman I waited tables with 17 years ago, who helped me move with his little 2-seat truck into a tiny little apartment building as we were trying to get by, and grind it out. Napa is a very expensive place to live. And when you grow up in North Dakota and you're a middle-class kid from North Dakota, it's like moving from a third world country to the United States of America as far as cost of living is concerned. It was a lot of money. And so all I did was wait tables, and I worked as much as I could. And one of my great friends, whose recipe that you're using tonight, Peyton's halibut and corn salsa dish, he and I waited tables together 17 years ago. He moved to Asia and opened restaurants all across the world, really, and then came back years later and helped me open up Dakota Shy. And so when you come, hopefully you'll come and visit Dakota Shy someday, but when you see who we are and what we do, it is really a genuine extension of family. And our wine is the bridge to people throughout the United States that we're not able to see every day or visit or whatever the case be, but it still connects us. And I'm proud of the team that we've put together here. And in so many ways, having a friend that waited tables years ago and now is here creating recipes and helping manage our estate. So with that, I think I'm going to pivot into wine number 2, which is where we kind of get into what we really do and who we really are. And so the Dakota Shy Cabernet here. Do I have it high enough? We good? Okay. So Dakota Shy 2018 TEN Cabernet, 2017, excuse me, Cabernet. And this is one of you.
Hey, Todd.
My initials.
Hey, Todd.
Yes.
Can we pause on the second wine for a minute so Sherry can talk real quick? Awesome. Thanks so much.
Todd, one thing.
No problem.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Todd's excited about tonight. One thing that he didn't share with you that I'm going to briefly mention, and when he comes back on, he will. The generosity that Dakota Shy has shown for the foundation. Ever since we met him 3 years ago, they have been wonderful. But all of the wine that is sold tonight, and I think if you look at the top of your screen, you can buy wine, and Jeannie will go into that later. All wine sold tonight, Todd and his group will be donating back 50% to the foundation. So we're so incredibly thrilled about that. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about the pandemic and where we started at the beginning of this. On March 10th, Larry and Jeannie and I were in the South Bend Airport flying to Sacramento to finalize all the details with Todd and his staff for the annual JWAS wine dinner, which would have been held this evening at the Carriage House dining room. By Thursday of that week, the country had become very unsettled with COVID-19, and we did not know where we were headed. By Friday morning on March 13th, when we arrived at the airport, things were in an upheaval. We sat in the airport, and Jeannie sat on the floor in the corner of the airport gate and called every single one of our families to reassure them that we would be there for them through this. They would not be alone, and we would do everything in our power to help them through it. We started a plan and implemented it immediately. As soon as we returned back to Indiana, we did some shopping of groceries, essentials, and medicines, and we've stockpiled those and made deliveries as needed to our families. Jeannie put together a plan with them and helped all of those that needed the assistance on unemployment application assistance. She worked with them on mortgage and rent advice with their lenders and landlords, provided resources for utility assistance and food pantry locations. And one of the really big ones that she guided them through was making sure their internet capabilities and they had the appropriate equipment to continue their virtual learning from home, as well as our kids were all able to continue the music lessons they were involved in, and especially the tutoring that we had going on for the different Jackson scholars. On March 13th, that began a process and has gone through to today. There's been daily communication with our families. There's a daily text chat between everyone, and numerous phone calls have been made as needed. The next step in the following week, we worked together and set up virtual leadership programs. And each week, Jeannie has done Zoom calls. We've been involved with them on it. And the first week was creating family values during the shelter in place order. And that day, we established the values that we wanted included in our homes during the shelter in place, and those words and actions that were not going to be permissible in our households. The second week was a family team building session, which really turned into a wellness check. By this week, there were some real fears and anxieties that had set in, and it created a tightening connection because everyone was very honest and open about their fears and their thoughts. And a trust developed between our 11 families that was growing but wasn't quite to where it became that day. Jeannie then did a dining etiquette class for the Jackson scholars right before Mother's Day so they could prepare a nice table for their mothers on Mother's Day. We've done a family cooking culinary class with our own Joshua Swank, where the children prepared dinner for their families. And just this past week, we partnered with Mindful You here in South Bend and provided mindful yoga classes for parents and also the Jackson scholars. However, one of the most important things that I think we've done through the pandemic is our bi-weekly social distancing car parades. We have visited every single Jackson scholar family bi-weekly with at least 3 cars in our parade and as many as 7 cars. The first week we delivered supplies for our upcoming virtual leadership classes. The second week, Larry, Lily, Chloe, and I made lasagna dinners, and we delivered those with board games and activities for the family to do during their evenings at home. The third week, we included the ingredients and delivered those for the cooking class and books for all the Jackson scholars to read. And just this past week, Tim Pico's made taco dinners for all of the families, and those were delivered and paid for by our friends at Sterling. Our goal has been for the safety, security, and mindfulness for all of our JWAS families. And I am happy to say this evening that we have done a damn good job doing so. There have been many, many conversations around our dinner table in the evening with Larry and the girls and I. And it has been commented so many times that we just know Jackson is looking down on us with smiles and on his face, knowing we're continuing his legacy. Saying all of that, this is a really ironic thing that our granddaughter Bailey shared with us in January at the last time we were able to get together with all the families. This is the 16th year since we have been without Jackson. And with the 2 new scholars that were added in December, that brings our total Jackson scholars to 16. 1 scholar for every year we've missed him. The other thing this year, it would have been Jackson's senior year. And this past Sunday, Larry and Lily and I sat around our dining room table and was able to watch the virtual commencement at Culver Academy, of which he would have been a part of. And these 16 scholars warm our hearts as we thought of him during the commencement. On a brighter note, the 16 scholars this fall will be attending 5 schools in our area. And we have such a wonderful partnership with the 5 schools, and that number just keeps growing. When I talk about 16 scholars, 5 schools, and I'm sure you're thinking, wow, what's that tuition tab? And that, if you look in your screen and see our goal for tonight on the thermometer of $170,000, that's the actual tuition for this year's tuition for the scholars. The one thing I would like to share and point out to all of you, many of you have heard this before, some of you may have not, every dime donated goes 100% to our scholars. There are no administrative costs out of donations. The Swank family pays for all of the administrative costs and operating costs. So 100% of your donation goes to the scholars. Lastly, let me take you to the introduction of Jeannie Shuck. Last December, when Jacqueline Kronk announced that she was going to be accepting a new position, we asked Jeannie, who had been working with us for a year in our partnership, in our programming, and with our school partners and the families, if she would be willing to step in as interim executive director until we got all of our ducks in a row. She happily accepted that. Fast forward 6 months after going through the pandemic, I'm not sure that she would have done that at that time, but we're thrilled she did. I can't imagine going through this the last 3 months without her. And so tonight, I'd like to announce our new executive director of the Jackson William Augustus Swank Foundation, and we are dropping that interim title, and we are thrilled to have her on board. Jeannie, you are a blessing and a joy to our JWAS families, our board of directors, our donors and supporters, and most especially to Larry and me. We love you, and we thank you for being a part of this.
Oh. Whew. Thank you. My job is an absolute honor and privilege, and I am so grateful to be a part of your family and the JWAS family and our mission. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our first virtual wine tasting event with Napa Valley's very own Dakota Shy. We at the Foundation are incredibly humbled and grateful for the outpouring of support for this unique and historic event. Nobody could have ever anticipated this is how we would all come together in 2020 to celebrate our beloved Jackson and all of the gifts he has blessed us with. Yet this virtual platform has already given us so many blessings to be grateful for, the biggest one being all of you. And I really want to give a special hello to all of our JWAS families and our 16 Jackson scholars who are watching from home tonight. Hi, guys. We have over 500 supporters joining us tonight from across the country. We have 20 states represented, and nearly 20% of you have attended all of our annual wine dinners, our biggest fundraiser each year. Thank you so much for continuing to show your love and support for our kiddos. And what is so interesting is almost half of our viewers tonight have not had the opportunity yet to join us under that beautiful tent at the Carriage House. This virtual platform has truly expanded our reach beyond expectations, a definite silver lining in the midst of these very challenging times for all of us. Because we have so many new supporters, we would like to take just a few minutes to share our story of JWAS and the impact of our mission has on so many.
Jackson was my firstborn, the love of my life. Jackson would wake up with a smile on his face. Would say he loved life. It didn't matter what he did, he was just happy.
He brought a joy to our marriage and to our family, unlike anything we'd ever had before. Just a complete joy. And you know what I'm talking about. It's something you can't quantify, but you know it's there and you feel it. It's like the air you're breathing.
December 8, 2003 was a day that changed our lives. Came home from work that day, and Jackson stayed outside with Lindsay, the nanny. I held Jackson in my arms in the driveway after she had ran over him. And that night changed me, changed Larry, and what we vowed that we would not allow that to destroy us, but to become stronger people, better people, and make a difference in the lives of people around us.
God plays a different part in everybody's lives, and He's got a plan for all of us, and I believe that. I know Sherry believes that. And He said to us, I'm taking Jackson because you got other things you're going to do in His name.
Being a part of the JWAS family really, I think, connects us to the beautiful tragedy of what happened. And I say that beautiful tragedy because it was tragic, but through it has come so much beauty.
I just get great joy of Larry and Sherry seeing Jackson and our kids, because it just shows that, you know, they love our kids too. They, you know, they wouldn't have picked them if they didn't believe that they were gonna do something great with their lives. That's just amazing that we can have that connection with them.
Through the JWAS Foundation, our kids are gonna be able to make a great impact on the world. Layla herself is already so loving and caring, equipped with a great education. She's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I know that she'll pay it forward as well as it was given to her. And the same with Freddie, always there to support his sister. It's just going to be another way for him to give the world the best that he can possibly give. And equipped with the education and knowledge, it's only going to make him better.
Or we look at the Jackson scholars and their families as part of our family. And they have become an important part of our lives. When we see these families come together and see them thriving and the growth within their family because of the experiences they're receiving, it's wonderful.
When I see that and I think about that and the lives we're changing, all because of a memory of a son lost, it's a gift that will continue on for their entire lives. I'm a believer, as a Sherry, that the foundation of all of us is education. And we're providing these scholars something that no one can ever take away from them. And what they use it for and what they do with it will be theirs, not ours. But we will have provided that opportunity for them.
I hope by you guys watching that video, you have a better sense of our mission and all the wonderful things that we do here at JWAS. Now, throughout the evening, you will be able to purchase tonight's wine from Dakota Shy, as well as make a pledge to JWAS in a couple of ways. You can go to the Donate to JWAS button or the Purchase Wine button on the screen above me, or you can call our JWAS team members in our live call center at 833-970-4483. And I think you're going to get a good look of them right now.
Here we go.
There they are. Hi guys. They've got signs that say Go Team JWAS. I think you see some, you might recognize some of those sweet faces. Take a look at that lovely crew. They're so great. Now tonight, many of you are gathering together with family, neighbors, or friends, with keeping 6 feet apart, of course. But some of you may be in your jammies, celebrating in the comfort of your own home on your cozy couch. Whatever the circumstance, we would really love to see you. So if you would be so kind and grab your phone and capture the moment for us, and please email that photo to us at pics@jwasfoundation.org. If you have a hard time remembering something like that, the email will appear on the chat line for you to view in case you forget. And on your screen, you can also see the amount our JWAS supporters have already committed to. Like Sherry said, $170,000 is the amount it will cost the foundation to educate and nurture our 16 Jackson scholars for the upcoming school year. And look how far we've already come, and we're just getting started tonight. If you have a question about the wine during the tastings with Todd, use the chat line at the top of your screen. Todd will answer a couple of your questions during each tasting. You can also ask a question about the foundation, and our Board of Trustees member Josh Swank will be getting back to you. And please remember, the call center will open and remain open for 30 minutes after the event, so you can continue to place your wine order or pledge to JWAS. Now I think it's time for us to get back to Todd in Napa.
Oh, welcome back. Thank you guys. I was just getting my glass of Dakota Shy TEN poured right here. And I just want to touch, before we get into the wine, how much I admire Larry and Sherry and what they've done and the way that they've done it. They've taken a very tragic event and they've turned it into something that puts positive goodness into the world. And it's a very special thing. And I feel privileged to be a small part of this evening tonight. And I want to thank them, and I'm grateful for their friendship and just who they are as people. And I do believe Larry touched on it in the video, that God hears the whispers of the things you do for others, and it doesn't have to be loud and it doesn't have to be known. He and the whispers that those people that you do it for, that's what matters. And I believe that with good fortune and with blessings comes a responsibility to do that. And so in some small part tonight, Dakota Shy is going to try and contribute to what Larry and Sherry have created in the JWAS Foundation. And, I feel privileged to be a tiny part of that. And so with that, what I would like to do is I would absolutely like to put something in the mix that maybe will get some of the participants tonight excited about a possible trip to Napa Valley. Dakota Shy we were very fortunate. I mean, I came from a very middle-class family. We worked for everything we had. We built it brick by brick. And about 6 years ago, I found this parcel of property right in the heart of Napa Valley. It was like 6 acres. It was part of the original Rancho Camus land grant that dated, pre-statehood of California in 1849. There's the road that you actually drive in on the property is an old stagecoach line that was one of 6 that used to bring people up to this part of the world from San Francisco during the gold rush. On the way to Sacramento. It's a very historical site. It's a beautiful site. It's been around since 1849, and it has a lot of soul. You can walk on this property and know that there have been many stories told before, and there'll be many stories told after. And our job right now is really to be stewards of the land. But what we have is a beautiful home. It has 4 master bedrooms. I would say outside of having a spa and a gym, it would be a 5-star resort in many ways. And it's something that we keep really to ourselves, to our friends, to our family, and to causes that we believe in. And JWAS is certainly one that I believe in. I can't stress enough the importance of people having hope. And so I think what we're going to do is play a video for you guys right now of the estate and just give you an idea. But I would like to welcome 4 couples. It sleeps 4 couples collectively for 3 nights to our property, where it has ancient olive trees. We've got bee boxes where we make our own honey. I've got 20 different fruit trees and whatnot here. And it's just such a special place. And I would like to, if Larry and Sherry would like, I would like to donate the estate for 3 nights. I have a beautiful outdoor kitchen. You can see the pool there. I think you can see the olive trees in the front. The tennis court does not exist anymore because we had to build a winery. And unfortunately, tennis lessons do not pay the mortgage for properties out here in Napa. So where the tennis court was is where we've actually built the winery, which is where you will come and do a private tasting with us. And then shortly thereafter, we'll kind of move into the gardens, where I think what we'll do is we'll fire up the pizza oven and we'll do a pizza cooking class with folks. And I know it's fun. We do it all the time on Tuesday nights, on Sunday days, whatever it be. But if Sherry and Larry, if you would like to, extend that to your friends and the JWAS family, we would be more than happy to donate the home for the stay at whatever time works for the folks in the next year, 2 years, whatever it is. We're happy to accommodate as is.
Todd, give me a minute. That is incredible. I know what you guys are going through in Napa. We didn't expect this, but you are so generous on top of the wine share you're giving us. Yes, we would love to accept it. Larry just whispered in my ear and said, if you're okay, we'll add to it our dear friend Darren Schauer of Eclectic Tours. We'll provide 2 days of chauffeur for you, a day of tasting on Pritchard Hill, a day of tasting on Spring Mountain. And if Todd will allow it, we'll have his chef come in one night and we'll provide dinner for the guests as well. So Todd, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Todd, that's amazing. Just amazing.
It is amazing. And I think, Jeannie, how are we going to bid this?
Well, this is pretty incredible. Todd and everyone at Dakota Shy, thank you so much for all of your interest, all of you that are interested in this unique and beautiful experience. You can place your bid by calling our call center. So that number again, I think it's on your screen, is 833-970-4483. One of our lovely JWAS team members that you saw earlier will be happy to take your call, and the winner of the package will be announced at the end of the night. Todd, now back to you.
Okay, well, thank you again. And I can, as a kid who grew up around wheat farms in the middle of North Dakota, this place is special. I haven't seen a lot in the world, but I can tell you that this place is special. And when you come, you will be an extended part of our family. And we'll create a moment and a memory for you guys that will rank as high as that I believe will rank very high up with some of the memories that you've created over the years. And so with that, I'm going to pivot back into the wines, and we're going to step into really now what we do, who we are, and how we got here. Dakota Shy, there was a question about the Dakota connection, but the Shy, how does it work? It's really a culmination of a couple things, but I can tell you North Dakota's population is not very big. I think when I was growing up, there were 560,000 people in the entire state. I remember a number that said every 2 square miles you could find a person. It's a pretty big state, considering all things. And so when I left home, $1,400, a backpack, and a little black duffel bag, I took an Amtrak train to Portland, Oregon, and my high school best friend had moved to Eugene and was going to college there. And when I got there, college town, big university, and not a lot of people from North Dakota. I don't know that I really met more than maybe 3 the entire time I was there. And so in college, people, they throw around nicknames. And as you can well imagine, Dakota was mine, or Nodak. And so that became something of something I was proud of. You know, where I grew up, they're a tough class of people. I mean, if you're going to live in 20 below temperatures and get up and go to work and, you know, start your car an hour before you go to work, et cetera, you got to come from a stock that can get it done. And for me, Dakota always represented a strength, a work ethic, and I was proud of that. Maybe not, you know, the most polished. Certainly when I got to Napa Valley, my vocabulary was nowhere close to the fancy folk that were out here. And, you know, I had to find myself, and where I found myself was where I came from, and that was my work ethic. And so Dakota meant strength. Shy was a bit of a cover for doubt, I guess, if you would. I didn't know if I belonged in a place like Napa Valley. It was pretty fancy. Again, kid from small town North Dakota. You know, you had people coming to dinner at this restaurant. I was making $200-300 a night, with a lot of money for where I grew up. Take me a week of 80 hours out in the pastures, pounding fence posts and stretching barbed wire to make that kind of money. And now you're going to give that to me in a night, and I'm going to get to drink wine and eat great food. And it was a unique time in my life. And the Shy was kind of a cover for doubt. So did I belong? So in a way, Shy was humility. Strength and humility, that's balance. And if you're going to chase a dream, you need both of those things. You need to know how to work and commit to something and stay humble and grind through it. And so Dakota Shy really started as a nickname, Dakota, and the Shy part was really a cover for wondering if I belonged here or not. And that's how the name came to be. So that's one of the questions that was asked earlier. I hope that answers it in detail. And now with that, we're going to shift into a wine that is, I'm not lucky enough to have children yet. I'm looking at working on that. My darling girlfriend's sitting right here helping me out this evening. And so we're going to, obviously you got to put the horse in front of the carriage. So we're going to work on a couple things before we get there. But with that, these wines are very much my children. And this particular wine, I guess you would say it's kind of my firstborn. We're going to look at different wines tonight, and I always look at them, you know, this is my entrepreneurial son. The Moulds that we're going to taste next, that's my first round draft pick. He's going to the MLB, or he's going to go to the NFL, and they're styles. They're unique. Every wine has a personality. And this particular wine, the Dakota Shy TEN, Napa Valley Cabernet, is the wine that really set the course of my life. I moved here. I had $1,400 when I left home. And when I got here, I went to a restaurant that was a Michelin star restaurant. I was like, is that a tire? They got a tire company with the restaurant? I didn't know what the hell that meant. And so you figure it out. And there's a ton of French terminology, fancy folk coming in and out. And I'm an IHOP, Applebee's, somewhere in the middle, qualified waiter, waiting tables at a restaurant like this. And it was intimidating. And for a long time when I was working there, first 6-8 months, people would sell bottles of wine that were just out of this hemisphere expensive. And I just, I taste this wine and it was $75, and I taste this wine and it was $275. And I couldn't figure out where the $200 was, so I always went back to the $75 wine. And my epiphany wine was one in which led my career to where it is today. I tasted a wine blind from a very, very iconic winemaker named Heidi Barrett. She was very famous for making the Screaming Eagle wines. For any of you who are in the cult Napa Cabernet world that know what that is. And really became a mentor of mine throughout the years. Her assistant winemaker gave me my first job in 2004, scrubbing barrels. I would go in at 6 a.m. for $12 an hour, and I'd work till 3. I would shower, shave, and I would run to the restaurant and wait tables at night. And I met him at a restaurant, and I sold that wine that I tasted that kind of blew my mind. And this is sort of a recreation of that. This is what I believe that luxury can be humble, and that wines should be approachable, and what you pay for, you should get more. And so the idea of under promising and over delivering is near and dear to my heart. And I believe wholeheartedly that this wine does exactly that. So to the wine itself, this is a Cabernet Franc with just a little bit of Petit Verdot in it. And I say, okay, what's Cabernet Franc? Da, da, da. Think of Cabernet Sauvignon as a bone-in filet. For any vegetarians on the call tonight, this bombs typically is an example. So we're going to say maybe a mushroom you can substitute for the ribeye. That being said, you can have the best cut of beef in America. You can have the Thomas Kellers or the most famous chefs in America at your grill ready to cook it, and you forgot the salt and the pepper. Well, the beef will be excellent, the technique will be excellent, but it won't be as good as it could have been. And that's what Cabernet Franc and Petit Verdot do in blends of wine. And so what this is a composition of several vineyards that come from Napa Valley's floor, okay? And when I say floor, Napa is 30 miles long and 5 miles wide. It's a sliver in the world of wine. It is just so unbelievably small. Yet it has a composition that recognizes close to 55 or half of the world's soil components that make up the entire globe. So when you think about that for a moment, it's unbelievable. And what our philosophy at Dakota Shy has been is to pursue these special little nuggets throughout Napa Valley. Some of them happen to be on the valley floor, where the elevation is 120 feet above sea level. Some of them happen to be way up in the mountains that are 1,400 feet. And so what we've done is we've crafted wines from specific sites to really make the best of the best. And for us, the Dakota Shy Tea and Napa Cabernet is undoubtedly one of those wines that just hits well above its weight level in the ring. And you can find wines, and I'm biased, but you can find wines that are priced 2-3 times what this is. And I mean, I just don't believe that they can stand up to it. Some of that's biased, but I do truly believe that. That being said, let's get to the profile and some of the tasting. So I'm going to taste this right now. So what I love about it is this wine, it's kind of got that like liquid silk, little ninja tannin element to it. You don't even know the squeeze is coming until all of a sudden it's like right on top of you, because it goes in very fleshy, very silky. In particular, I get it wrapping around my palate, right around my tongue. You get a little bit of tannin up on your lips, cheeks, and gums. And that's where you identify fruit tannin. Fruit tannin will showcase itself on the lips, cheeks, and gums. Oak tannin will showcase itself right on top of the tongue. And then again, right behind your ears, the parotid glands. And so that acid is, it's like the backbone, if you would. The acid holds the wine together. The tannins are the ligaments and the tendons, and the muscle is the fruit. The idea is to flex the muscle. That's the sexy part. But if anything is off in any which way, you can't flex fully, and you can't optimize what you're trying to show off. And that's one of the things that we talk about with balance in life and wine, is you got to have those balances. And so I've had that taste now 90 seconds thereafter. I can still feel my mouth salivating, where you got to kind of cleanse it. And to me, that says, you know what, this is a pretty darn good wine. From a flavor profile, what you tend to find on Valley Floor Cabernets are more opulent fruit. You tend to find a berry that tends to be a little bit bigger than it would be on the hillside. And the reason is because of the slope to the water table. On the valley floor, the berries can find that water a little bit easier. Up on the hillsides, it's harder to find. And so our growing seasons are effectively the same for both sites. So what you'll tend to find are valley floor fruit tends to be a bit more red. So what I get is really red cherry. There's almost like a really sweet tobacco cigar box element to this wine. And then one of the elements that I really, really love about it, I love minerality. I love when a wine tells you where it's from. And one of the vineyards that we use is in St. Helena, and it's right up against this very ancient alluvial fan, which alluvial fans are basically ancient riverbeds where over millions of years these rocks have accumulated, and it's very well drained. And there's a lead sort of minerality, lead pencil shavings, if you would, in this wine. And to me, it gives it its third layer. I think it's very special. I think it's got that super silky texture to it, and just overall classic Napa Cabernet, something I find very delicious. Excuse me, just one second. I'm getting fed some questions, and here's another one. How has Dakota Shy and Napa been affected by COVID-19? It's a very good question, whoever asked that question. It's been stung. I would say my business is, we don't distribute our wines. These are handcrafted. These are our babies. We make them and we sell them from A to B. I met Larry and Sherry years ago, even before Dakota Shy, the brand, had sort of taken off. Not to say it's taken off, but before we had a winery, before we had what we have today. And we built it the old-fashioned way. Do as you say as you do good things, put a product that's better than most, do it for less, and put the time in, and you'll be successful at some point. I believe that. My father taught me that growing up. I mean, this is a man that hauled propane on Christmas Day because a family that didn't have the means to fill up their tank in December because they were trying to put a Christmas together. It got real cold, and they ran out before the end of the month came. And you know what? He got up in the morning. We waited to open presents on Christmas Day, and he delivered that gas. And it was about taking care of people. And so for us, Dakota Shy has always been that. And the way that we've been able to be successful is we sell all of our wines from A to B. So you're not going to be able to go into a retail or a liquor store in America and find these wines sitting on the shelves. These are wines that are crafted for a reason.
I think we kind of lost Todd for a second here, but this is not that we want to lose you, Todd, but this is amazing. We have already gotten some numbers in for the auction lot that he has so generously donated to the JWAS Foundation. It's already at $60,000. 60. What do you say about that?
It's amazing.
That really is amazing. So thank you so much, you guys. You have about another 20 minutes to bid, so you can call our call center in those next 20 minutes. Do we have Todd back yet, or is he still? Excellent, Todd.
I am here. I'm sorry. I believe I got dropped. Are we good?
You're good.
All right.
Did you, Todd?
I don't know when I got.
Hey, Todd, did you hear where your auction lot is already at?
I did not. No.
Okay, Todd, it's already at $60,000.
Holy mother of goodness.
Smokes.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Listen, I've done.
Oh my gosh.
I've done these things all over the country, and we've never. 44 was the top one that I hit.
Well, and
I'll tell you what. Do you have like two live? Do you have bidders going back and forth?
We have bidders back and forth. They're just calling. The phones are off the hook in the other room, and they keep updating us.
I'll tell you what. If you've got bidders going back and forth, I'll double it. And if there are two groups of people that are interested in doing that, we'll double it, because I've never seen a number like that. The highest we've ever done is 44, and that was at some big fancy wine festival with a bunch of people throwing up the paddles.
Todd,
I don't know. Yeah,
this is just you guys, we are just so grateful. The last 3 months have just been such a whirlwind for all of us. And I know we're all feeling it in our own way. And we wanted to come together tonight just to celebrate. Our true purpose was to just show our gratitude for all of you, and to have something to look forward to when we're usually at the wine dinner for this evening. So I cannot tell you, I know I can speak for Larry and Sherry because they're crying over there already, that we're so grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, Todd. I think we have another Magnum to another Magnum drawing.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So we have Jackson's sister Lily here, who's going to spin the ball this time. Ready to go? These cute girls were so sweet. They put all the names on. I think these are beer pong balls, actually, so we could fit them all in. Who do we have?
The winner is Matthew Van Meter. Congratulations.
Matthew Van Meter, congratulations. I think that group right now, there's like 20 of them sitting outside on a big screen enjoying this night. So, Matthew, well done. Kudos to you. Back to you, Todd.
Thank you. And I apologize. One of the beauties of living in the country is, and especially California, you get to deal with some goofy regulations, and one of those regulations is terrible Wi-Fi because, and I love hippies, but let's just be honest, the hippies get all in a frenzy and you can't get a damn cell tower, and so our Wi-Fi tends to be a challenge. So I apologize on where I got dropped, and I don't know exactly where I got dropped, but I'm going to circle back to how has it been affected. What we do is our business is driven by people visiting the Valley, coming and getting an experience, hopefully purchasing wine, taking it back, sharing it with friends and family, and really becoming ambassadors. So it's been a challenge, but we're also very blessed, and we have a tremendous team that is outside the box thinking. And so life, you're going to get headwinds, and you can do one of two things. You can go pout and pity in the corner, or you can dig in and go around the headwind. And so we've chosen to do that. We are actually about to launch a Shyway tour. We have a motorhome that we are getting wrapped. I am visiting all 48 states and a couple Canadian provinces in the next 2 years. We're going to start at the end of June, and I'm going to drive that baby all across America. And we're going to look to do dinners and events with people and share our wine and share our story and create some moments, try and capture that on film. And we're doing some unique things here. So Napa is ready to get open, and we're certainly ready for people who like to come out here to come back and visit us. So I certainly would ask that if you've never been, please come. If you have been, we're going to open up next week, I believe. So please come back. With that, I think we're going to shift gears now into wine number 3. Correct. So this wine here, I'm drinking from the big boys. We sent some splits out for you guys, but if you go right up here, I believe I've been right there. There's a link, and what we wanted to do was we just want to be part of something special. And again, you go back to kids having a chance. There's kids. When it comes to kids, you got to give them a shot. And if you don't have hope and you grow up in socioeconomics where you just don't have opportunities that some people have, how are you going to get the stepping stones to launch into a place to change the world? And for us, we want to contribute to that in a very small way, in the way that we can. And so what we've done is we've set up a special site. If you click that link at Dakota Shy Wine, it'll take you to our page, and you can fill out some information. If you're enjoying these wines tonight, you can purchase some of them. And what we've chosen to do is rather than look at this as a revenue creation element, this is something where we can give the proceeds effectively back to JWAS and hopefully help raise that number past 170 tonight. I really hope that we can. I hope you guys all reach up and order 3, 6, 12 bottles, whatever it is. Cases are always good, but really these wines aren't inexpensive. And so whatever you're comfortable doing, we're going to give 50% to the JWAS Foundation. And so with that, I'm going to shift to the third and final wine. And I hope that so much about tasting wine is talking life and telling stories. And so I hope I'm giving you enough on the wine itself. It's a challenge when you do these virtual tastings because you don't get the questions. So you just try to keep going with what makes sense. And I believe that telling a story is a beautiful thing. And the wine's the bridge, and it's the vehicle, and it's the catalyst that helps tell the story and then create the moment, which becomes the memory, which becomes a currency. And so the third and final wine tonight, the Dakota Shy Moulds Family Vineyard. You'll notice the labels changed from white to black. So the white label Dakota Shy is a culmination of vineyards. We cherry pick through here, here, and here, and we brewed this particular wine. The black label Dakota Shy is site specific. It says something. It's making a statement. It says that the grapes that come from this dirt are so extraordinary that we don't need to bring salt and pepper to the party. This is that good. It's a wine that just doesn't need anything else. And so this is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. It's from one single vineyard site. It's a hillside site. So you have the valley floor fruit, you have hillside, and then you have mountain way up here. This is hillside. And this is rock star stuff. I love this stuff. And what you're going to see from a flavor profile is you're going to shift from more of that red fruit that we had with the TEN, and you're going to pivot into a much bluer, sort of violet aromatic, blue coffee box monster. It is going to squeeze you. It's going to power. It's going to grip you more. And that's what it's supposed to do. This family that we work with is near and dear to my heart. They were the first people that were big time in the world of grape growing out in Napa that believed in Todd and Tom and Dakota Shy. I knocked on so many doors and left so many phone calls to try to get in vineyards that were, the top 1%. And a kid from, North Dakota who waited tables doesn't get too many return phone calls. But we kept grinding, we kept going. And this family, they took a shot on us in 2012. And we have and are today the number one client in that vineyard. I believe this vineyard is a top 10 vineyard in all of America. And it's a wine that we do not make a lot of wine from. It's a vineyard we do not make a lot of wine from. 22 barrels. That is not a lot of wine, folks. It's 600 cases. It's a very, very, very small production. And again, it's just something that you find here in the tasting room. So with that, I'm going to pour myself a glass quickly and walk through. So this is monster. So yeah, there's if you could dry blueberries and powder them and then take like a bone-in fillet and dust it with blueberries and throw that baby on the grill, whatever that aromatic is, I think that's the liquid version of it right here. And so this is a big boy. This is Barbecue wine right here. And again, I need a moment to speak because the lift on that wine just goes straight up. And it is, these are young wines, and I haven't tasted these that much because we just kind of put them in bottle a few months ago. But damn, I'm more and more impressed by these things every time I taste them. This is a very special wine for us. No more special than the last one, but a wine that if you happen to be an aficionado or really, really into Napa Cabernets, this is a wine that can stand up against, humbly I say this, the best of the best that Napa has to offer. And so with that, I want to spend one more minute speaking to my best friend, the best human being I know, and the winemaker of Dakota Shy, Tom Garrett. He was the guy who gave me my first job in the wine business 15 years ago. I used to go into that lab where I worked for $12 an hour, and I used to tell him, you know what, I'm going to do this someday. I'm going to make wine. This is the business I'm going to get in. I'm a farm kid from North Dakota, and all these folks out here tell me that this is farming. They're all farmers. And I think to myself, well, sign me up because I know what farming is, and this is what I want to do. And over the course of many, many years, probably a decade, this conversation, it became an idea, and an idea became a seed, and the seed got planted, and the seed grew. And Dakota Shy was created from that. And the winemaking, the quality of the wines themselves come from a man who is every bit as extraordinary as he is in the winemaking side. He's even more extraordinary in the way that he lives and who he is. He's a tremendous father, a tremendous friend, and someone that I care very deeply for. And, it needs to be mentioned that Dakota Shy wouldn't be without him. And so he's not here this evening, but he is a colossal part of what we do. And I just felt like we should acknowledge him and his skills and his humanity as much as we can tonight. So with that, I think I'm going to shift back to Larry and Sherry. I want to thank you guys so very much, all of you. I know there were so many kits ordered. It's a privilege. So God bless you guys. Thank you very much. God bless.
Awesome. Thank you, Todd, so much. You know what? We really enjoy hearing your story of your vintner and how you got started. I think it's really nice for us to hear that story right now, too, when we all kind of wish we were in Napa in person. So I honestly can't wait till we all get to go next time, which is hopefully sooner than later. So the auction lot item right now is at $60,000, and you have about 5 or 10 minutes to bid. It sounds like Todd will match it. So the top 2 bidders will get 2 amazing experiences, and I think we are just so humbled by your generosity of all of you. Our breath is taken away right now. Our annual fundraiser usually it's just an extraordinary experience, and we didn't know what to anticipate in these uncertain times, and you guys are just already blowing it out of the water and blowing it out of the park. So thank you so much. Earlier in the program, Sherry did an amazing job explaining how we have handled the COVID-19 pandemic with our Jackson scholars and our families over the last several weeks. But we really wanted you to also have the opportunity to get a little sneak peek and see all of our efforts in action. Please join us and just take a quick look.
COVID-19 is really the impetus of why we're doing the virtual wine tasting. It started out as just a thank you. And it's gravitated into something more. We're focused on the Jackson scholars. We're focused on the programming. We're focused on how we're building young men and young women who really, as they get educated, graduate from college, they're going to be leaders in this country. And I think truly our foundation is really building future leaders. That's going to be very special.
What is most important here, right now in this moment? And it's these kids, and it's their parents. So we shifted our approach this year over the last 8 weeks of, okay, we're going to put a few things on pause, and we're going to focus completely on these families. And we've taken all of our character and leadership development programming virtually. But now we have people in the community doing that as well, as including members of the board who come in and are teaching the classes virtually.
Headed to Santiago's house and spread a little love and cheer for the JWAS Foundation. Doing great stuff. Tragedy into triumph.
Sherry and Mickey and I drove around to all 11 families' homes and delivered all of the ingredients for the recipes. Then we all had a virtual cooking class. Board members, families, kids, my family. And I think after that night,
That was an amazing night.
It was an amazing night, and I woke up the next morning just feeling, wow, I'm so grateful. I am so grateful when there's such a time of uncertainty. Kids are all trying to learn from home, and the parents are trying to teach their kids from home. And we have made it our mission as a foundation to do that together with these families.
Jeannie has made an effort that she connects with every family every single day. And there is a text chain that goes out, and I'm included on it. And there are days everything is great, and there are days we might have one that's having a real struggle. We've also been very cognizant of maybe some of the dilemmas and struggles that some of our parents have with the e-learning. And Jeannie has worked closely with the teachers and the families to make sure that they've had adequate equipment to make sure that they can do the e-learning.
Can't call this online learning. We can't call this home learning. This is COVID-19 learning. But we're going to help you find solutions. And I think that's been the glue behind our approach to COVID-19, is just saying, hey, we are in it with you.
When you think of one Jackson scholar for every year that Jackson has been gone, it's pretty unique, and it's heartwarming to think that he's looking down on us. And we are continuing his legacy through these kids.
Go.
Well, first of all, Sherry and I are speechless. First of all, Todd did a fabulous job. As I told you before, the wines are fabulous, but he just knocked it out of the park. And we want to take this opportunity and thank everybody that's here tonight viewing this, taking their time on a Friday evening to join us for the Jackson Scholars and to raise these funds and to taste this wonderful wine. So I would just like to toast the viewers, toast our friends, toast the many people that have helped the JWAS Foundation to reach the point where we're at today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless all of you.
Thank you so much.
Todd, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for your generosity. And one of those stops better be in South Bend, Indiana. There is a dinner party waiting for you.
Absolutely.
You can count on that. We are coming. We'll come in hot. It's going to be special.
Great. Can't wait.
Well, we're floored. I think we are just beyond floored right now. And so I can't say it enough. Thank you. These kids are so worth it. Just take a look. They have something to say to you right now.
Good to see you. Yeah, see you guys.
I know where you're coming, so I wear JWAS.
Oh, JWAS. We have to go stop at Massage next.
We have,
Do you have a message
5
for
more
us?
stops?
Do
4 more.
Yeah,
we have a message for Sai?
That's your best friend. What do you want to tell him? Look at Melky.
Will you say hi to Miss Sai?
This is very cool.
You get in there too, sweetheart. And maybe you guys can look at the...
Thank you, JWAS. Thank you all of you for donating money so we could go to school. We really appreciate it. Thank you, JWAS fans, for donating money to pay for all of the schools.
And I want to say that on behalf of the Jimenez family, we would like to thank each and every one of you for your contributions towards this wonderful foundation. And we know that because of you, our daughters are a few steps closer to reaching their goals in life. And we cannot wait to see what Aline, Alani, and all the other Jackson, William, Augusta Sewing Scholars are going to become because of you.
Thank you, JWAS. See ya!
All right, guys, aren't they awesome? They're so super great. Well, that concludes our program for tonight. I want you to remember that the phone lines and the pledge line is open for the next 30 minutes, so you can order some wine, you can make your pledge, and we're going to leave this auction lot open for the next 30 minutes. So right now it's at $60,000, and we're looking for a match.
Send them.
I think Sherry has something
tomorrow.
to say. Go ahead.
How about we announce tomorrow on Facebook, and we'll do an email as to the winner because the phone lines are still ringing.
They are.
Thank you, everyone.
God bless you all.
God bless
Thank
you.
you.
Have
Thank
a
you.
great
Be
night.
safe tonight.
Have a great night.
And drink these beautiful wines.